YouTube? It's your brother YT, back with another video. Y'all are in tune for another episode of HIV stories. People will share their story on how they contracted HIV. Right here is a safe space, no judgment zone. I just want to say, y'all be safe out here, but family, you already know what to do. And if you're brand new too, thumbs up this video so YouTube can push this content out. Smash subscribe to join the tribe and ring the post notification bell as well. Let's just give these people a platform to share their stories, because it takes courage for them to even come out and let the world know what they're going through, what they're battling. And this is a day-to-day battle for them. So I just want to say, I don't want to see no negative comments in the comment section. All right, let's get into it.
I contracted HIV after being in what you would consider a teenage relationship. So my first partner I was with from 15, and before my 21st birthday, we had split. He moved on, and I decided to do a year by myself. And I met a man around the age of 22 who was 5 years older than me, more experienced than me. And that started my journey into, finding out that this individual I met would also give me a life lesson. Something that I will be living with for the rest of my life, which is HIV.
Hello, my name is Bianca and I'm HIV positive. So while the purpose of this person's question was to degrade me, I feel compelled to be honest about it. The truth is that yes, I was being promiscuous and I contracted HIV at 27, so yes, it was unprotected intercourse. At that time, I was extremely broken, extremely traumatized. I felt unworthy. I didn't love myself. I felt unlovable. And I thought that if someone wanted to sleep with me, especially unprotected, that meant that they loved me, that I was worthy. Obviously, I know that that's not true now. But at the time, I held on to that as if it was truth, not knowing that my worth is found in Jesus Christ alone. So whether you're promiscuous or not, saving your bodies for your husband alone is the best option. This is not to say that spouses don't transmit, however, the risk is much lower. I am not ashamed of my past nor of my diagnosis, because Jesus has set me free. How I found out that I had HIV. So at this point, I was already with my ex, the guy who infected me, for about 5 months. The relationship was OD traumatic. I knew he was not faithful to me, but I never thought that he was not using protection with other women. At least I made myself believe that. At this point, I didn't have any more symptoms. I already went through the acute stage where I felt like I was literally gonna. However, a couple of symptoms persisted even after that were a little bit more subtle, but just as alarming. The first thing that freaked me out really was that I would have a continual yeast infection. I know it's kind of gross, but it's the reality of HIV. And a continual yeast infection is called thrush. I'm not saying that everyone that has thrush has HIV, but thrush is part of the symptoms of having HIV. And I'm from the hood or whatever, so there's a little hood doctor. I didn't have insurance. I didn't have insurance at that time. And so anytime I needed the yeast infection medication, I would just go to the hood doctor. So something that I forgot to mention is that the acute stage is basically the stage where you are most symptomatic. But once you're done with that phase, you are no longer symptomatic in very overt ways, but you still have certain symptoms that are very subtle. You have a lot of fatigue, thrush, yeast infection, discharge, the whole thing. And the second thing that really freaked me out was the fact that it was literally painful to have intercourse. And so at this point, I was taking clindamycin about once every 2 weeks. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the doctor. Even though I don't have insurance, I could go to the clinic and get tested and tell them what's going on, since it is down there. The day before I went, I had this sinking feeling in my spirit, in my gut. I knew that I was going to get bad news. So I show up to the clinic, I get tested. When you get tested, you do the full panel, you only get results for your HIV, rapid results day of. Everything else you have to wait. Someone comes out and calls my number because they can't say your name. They say, sit me down, and they just break it to me you tested positive for HIV. My world literally shattered into a million pieces. So that is how I found out that I was HIV positive.
Once again, y'all, this is a judge-free zone, and I don't want y'all to take what I'm saying as judgment, but we will use her and her story as an example of why no matter what you're going through, you still have to know that your body is your temple. Protect your body. Don't be out here sleeping with anybody and everybody. I know people deal with stress and depression different ways. Some people, when they're depressed, they overeat. Some people go to the club, or they might just get drunk all the time. They might blow their weed down. Some people, when they're depressed, people grieve in different ways. People get through trauma in different ways. I feel like this is the worst way. Neglecting your body. It can ultimately end up like this. You think it's all fun, a way to relieve stress, but it can end up being you living with something you can't cure.
So, story time. Today I was on live and I was sharing my story and testimony about being a person living with HIV and hypothyroidism. It was hard being repetitive about my story on live because there was so much going on, but I decided that maybe it'll be a good idea to share my story here. And if we're going to tell a story, we're going to start from the beginning. So this might be a couple parts. So I got married at a really young age. I was 19 years old. Me and my ex-husband's relationship wasn't the best. Let's say that. So I met someone who lived not too far from where I lived, and they were just awesome. Like, he was awesome. He was amazing. He had a beautiful spirit. Like, everything about him I thought was great. And at the time, I wasn't getting, any attention, or didn't have a healthy relationship at home being married at 19 years old. So I used to take walks with this new guy all the time with our dogs. And one day we stopped and he turned around in tears and he's like, I want to tell you something. So I'm like, go ahead, tell me. There's nothing that you can't tell me. Obviously, at that time, I was already having feelings for him. We weren't doing anything inappropriate or being intimate, beyond being intimate mentally and emotionally. So he turns around and tells me, that he's living with HIV and that he was born with it. And I didn't mean to laugh, but I laughed because I cared about him so much that didn't bother me. It wasn't a big deal for me. I still wanted to be his friend. I still wanted to hang out with him. I still wanted to walk our dogs together. And soon after that, we began to have really strong feelings for each other. So I decided to leave my ex-husband and move to Florida.
This man infected 14 women with HIV, and he knew he had the disease. His name is Nushawn Williams, and he found out he was HIV positive in 1996 after being tested following a drug arrest in New York City. The medical staff warned him, never have unprotected sex. But he ignored them and moved to the small city of Jamestown, New York, where no one knew about his diagnosis. There, Williams continued sleeping with women, never telling a single partner he was infected. 14 women tested positive for HIV, and health officials say he was the primary cause of Jamestown's HIV epidemic in 1997. The media even called him the HIV predator. Before he was arrested, Williams bragged in an interview that he slept with over 300 women, and it was later revealed that some of his partners were minors. He was eventually charged with reckless endangerment and failure to disclose his diagnosis. In 1999, he was sentenced to 4 to 12 years in prison. However, when his sentence ended in 2010, New York State refused to release him, saying he was still a danger to society. Psychologists said he had a mental abnormality that would lead to him committing the same crimes if freed. He was transferred to a psychiatric facility instead, where he's remained ever since. Follow me for more true crime stories, and it's crazy how
That boy foul. Not only did he not listen to the doctors, he changed towns. He like, oh, nobody know me out here. I can still get around. That's out of line. And the fact he started a whole epidemic is crazy, man. That blows my mind. He started an epidemic. He deserved to be locked up. He deserved everything that came to him. 14 people. And that's just the ones that got tested. Imagine the people that never got tested. Best believe it's more than 14 people. Pretty sure he went crazier than that. Okay, I was going to say the time they gave him wasn't enough time. But the fact that they said he mentally is not even there enough to not continue infecting others speaks volume, and that says a lot. They need to do everybody like this. When you get caught purposely infecting others, then they probably should send you to jail, then send you to a psychiatric center and leave you there forever. Let you rot, especially when it's a large number of people. If it's 2 or more, they should do that. Really one. If you knew, definitely more than 2 though, they should lock you away forever. It's something not right clicking in your brain that you're gonna have unprotected sex with somebody knowing that you infecting them, knowing that you could destroy their life. You see what I'm saying? It gotta be something wrong with you to not care about another human being like that. I can get you don't care about yourself, but somebody else and multiple people at that.
And baby, this right here is one of the biggest reasons why that I couldn't ever be no mistress and I could never stay with no cheater. Cause what? This lady had brought her baby to the hospital, y'all, because the baby suffered from constant fever and rashes. And she couldn't figure out why her baby was suffering like this. Tried Tylenol, ibuprofen, cause the rashes was painful. And for the fevers, nothing, and I mean nothing, helped this little baby. After trying everything she could think of by Googling and trying home remedies, she was just like, fuck it, I'm finna take my baby in because I don't know what's going on. Tested that baby for the flu, all those other things, viruses and stuff like that. Everything, every test they tested him for came back negative. So then the doctor was like, all right, we're going to give your baby a blood test then. We're going to take his blood and see what's going on. And y'all, why the fuck did this doctor come back about 20 minutes telling this lady that her baby was HIV positive? Like, what? He couldn't help but to break down in tears, feeling sick, confused, like, what the hell? He knew that she wasn't cheating on her husband, so she immediately started thinking about his ass. Like, how the fuck did my baby get anything like this when she was sure that she's clean? She was like, hold on, go ahead and pull my blood too then, because I want to make sure I'm good. At this point, she's livid and sad as fuck at the same time. The nurses took her blood, and she came back HIV positive too, and she was just shocked. She called her husband literally crashing the fuck out. She didn't give a fuck what nurses and doctors was around. She's sure that she has been faithful the whole entire marriage, let alone relationship. Her husband sounding all confused and terrified on the phone. He drove up there to the hospital with them. They tested him, took a blood sample, and his came back positive as well. And y'all get this, in that moment, he thought it was a great idea to confess that he had a mistress. Literally, it took all of this for this man to come clean that he's been cheating on his wife. And his wife basically was infected by him with the HIV, and she infected her baby unintentionally from breastfeeding. The mistress didn't even know that she was HIV positive from another man until this situation. Like, what? Baby, I am so good on y'all. We ain't doing that one, honey. But have y'all heard about this? This is so crazy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like this video, share this video. Cause some of y'all that be loving to be mistresses, yeah, you need to be careful. And some of y'all that's still in relationships where you know your man is cheating on you and you're deciding to cheat and sneak as well, y'all need to see this video because it is not safe out here for your health. And if you like content like this, follow your girl for one. I'll see you on the next one. Bam.
This was one of the saddest cases I saw working as an urgent care PA. It was 2020. I had just graduated during the COVID pandemic and started working immediately, and mostly all the cases that I was seeing in the urgent care were people getting tested for COVID. So I was kind of shocked when the medical assistant came up to me and said, hey, your next patient is a woman in her 40s asking to be tested specifically for HIV. Not only did she wanted testing for herself, but she had 2 teenage sons in the room and she was asking for all 3 of them to get tested. This woman was originally from Punjab, India, and she revealed to me that when she was 19, she was forced into an arranged marriage with her current husband. She wasn't allowed to ask any questions. She didn't really know much about him, and they got married and came to the US and started their family. And just recently, she discovered medication in his belongings, and that medication was an antiviral used specifically for the treatment of HIV. I'm just processing the whole story, how this man married her and she's had a 20-year marriage with him, and he never disclosed to her that he has anything or he takes medication for anything. But the gaslighting that she was explaining to me was unreal, from first denying that it was his medication to finally admitting that it was his medication, and then saying that he was getting treated for something other than HIV, and then finally saying that he no longer even takes the medication because his HIV has been cured. This woman is in tears now. She's telling me the whole thing, how she feels so betrayed. She can't believe this is happening to her. I try to calm her down, and I told her that if he was actually taking the medication, there is a good chance that the medication worked the way that it was supposed to. It caused his viral load to come down so much that it's practically undetectable. When the viral load is suppressed that much from the antivirals, it can't be detected in blood work and it can't be transmitted to another partner. I ordered all the appropriate blood work for her and her two sons. When the results came back, all three of them were negative. I also had her follow up with her primary care doctor, who ended up sending her to infectious disease for a secondary confirmation. And even then, the blood work of all three turned out beautifully. The lies that this man told, and it turned out that the family actually knew of his diagnosis and they withheld that information from her. There's just so many stories like this out there. Just please be safe out there.
All that lying he was doing, that's terrible. At least he was taking his medicine. That's better than the other stories we hear where they don't even care. They're not taking medicine. At least he's taking his. He lied about it. Yeah, he's embarrassed. He want to try to play like he got something else and not be truthful. That's not right, once again, but at least he's taking that medicine. He's doing what he's supposed to do so others can't contract it, or his wife. He making sure he's non-detectable. To the best of his ability, that's good. I'm glad nobody else caught it. The fact he said he cured, now they say that HIV is not curable. But if you know anything about Dr. Sabi, he did cure it. He cured every single disease out there. And the courts in the pharmaceutical industry didn't like that. They took him down, if y'all know the history of him. Dr. Sabi had put a newspaper article out saying he cured HIV and he cured various diseases. He got a call and they told him, you got to take that out the newspaper. He said, why? They said, because that's not true. You didn't do that. You didn't cure these people. He said, yes, I did. They basically was like, nah, that's not possible. You can't cure HIV. He like, no, I really cured him. Long story short, he ended up catching the case, right? He in and out of court. They tell him bring a couple people he cured and he'll beat the case. He didn't just bring a couple. He brought a whole lot of people. He filled the seats up in the courtroom full of people that he cured. They all said, yeah, he cured me. Right. And I'm going to get into this next story too. This lady right here said she got cured. She had it at first, went back to the doctor. They said she's cured. I'm going to roll her clip. Let's let her tell her story.
Good morning. Everybody know me as D with HIV. I was diagnosed October 23rd, 2019, and we are in 2024. It's July. I think it's July 2nd, and we are here with an update. Now, y'all remember I told y'all I went to Columbus, Ohio to the AHF. I could never say that right. I'm sorry. I ain't even smoked yet, so it ain't that. And they ran a second set of tests because this is my second time being pricked and stuck since I've been here. So the first set was basically to confirm so that I can get the medicine from the pharmacy. Up there's this place called Out the Closet. It is fabulous. Okay, honey, it is fabulous. I love it up there. And they did my first round of my vials, my blood and stuff. And they sent it to an actual doctor, and the doctor wanted to see me. I was wondering why this lady, she is so nice, y'all, by the way. And she fine in person for real type shit. Like, ooh, it's Pride Month. Let me calm down. Anyways, she was so pressed for me to make it to these appointments. And so I'm like, I seen my doctor before I left, really, and I don't feel like I should have to see a doctor again. She was like, no, this is really important. And when she said it like that, it kind of scared me. And Columbus is an hour and 30 minutes away from me, so I had to call my Medicaid, my insurance, so they could get me the transport to go get these results. So let's get into it. Let me get out y'all way. Okay, so as you can see, we got HIV, the type 1, the type 2, and what the fuck all the teachers at? Indeterminate? That's what they say? Okay, yes, I don't know how to say that fucking word, but I can explain to you how the doctor explained it to me in the most simplest form that I can think of. So boom, after my diagnosis, it took me roughly less than 60 days to actually get the virus out of my body and be undetectable. So that means when I go get tested, instead of it showing like I'm reactive, like HIV is in my system, yes, but I'm undetectable, which would be 20 copies. Hold on. Yeah, so I'm typically always at 20 copies when I get tested, basically undetectable. It's not 0, it's 20. But like if you're 20, you're undetectable. 20 copies per se. So when they ran this test, it says infection unconfirmed. Damn, it's like the universe don't want me to make this video. People keep calling and texting me, and it's making me distracted. Okay, so I want y'all to scroll with me. Note from Brian Beasley. That's 6/24/24. I felt like that was a lucky number when I went in anyways. So, boom, there we go. Please refer to the final. HIV-1. That's what the fuck that shit say. HIV-2, non-reactive. And the interpretation they got is out of range. It's out of range. So basically, no, I do not have it because it's not found in my blood at all, with or without the medicine. Have a great day.
Yo, now family. Now family, I want y'all to drop a comment below. Let me know what y'all think about her story. What y'all think about those results she just showed y'all. She said she was known as D with HIV. Now she got to be known as D without HIV. She got to be known as cured D. Let me know, man. Everything is curable. Everything. Forget what you've been told. Everything is curable. Through the right diet, through herbs, through detoxing, through fasting, through cell regeneration naturally, removing the mucus from the body, using sea moss as one of the items, bladder wrack as well. Like I said, herbs, natural remedies. Yaki too, he got the cures too. Yo family, you know I love you, you know I appreciate you. If you made it to the end of the video, drop a comment saying, I made it to the end, YT. I want to see that. I made it to the end, YT. I appreciate you. Peace. To my Hebrew fam, shalom. I will catch y'all on the next one.